I'm using the Risen stamp set from Maymay Made It. I love this stamp set. Lots of great sentiments and verses, perfect for a variety of occasions. First, we're going to get all our papers together. So if you are choosing to make a card, then you're going to need a card base, heavyweight, white. I'm using cardstock from Brutus Monroe, and I'm going to cut it vertically in half. Let's see, that's the 4 1/4 mark, and then I'm going to turn it halfway and score it at the 5 1/2 inch mark to make a card base. This is a really, really nice sturdy cardstock, and it's great for stamping, alcohol marker coloring, watercolor coloring, and card bases as well. And you can put this other half aside for another project. You'll need then to cut a panel from like a main solid color. And now this is just something I personally do. I'm going to toss this in as a helpful hint. I actually mark my paper trimmer with measurements that I use often. That's all that means. So this is 4 inches, and then I turn it at 5 1/4. And you'll see that it makes a perfect panel for the front of a card. And I have that marked just because I use those pretty often. Okay, now if you are, we'll need this maybe later, but I'm just going to have it on hand. Okay, and for this project, I'm going to work mainly off the panel. Now, if you're choosing to do, I'm going to set this aside, but not too far away. If you're choosing to use a scrapbook page or make a scrapbook layout for this, it's the same thing. We're going to use white as our base and a solid color as our panel, and then this for later if we need it. And to create that white frame, if you're doing a scrapbook page, I'm actually just going to, this is a 12 by 12, or they say it's a 12 by 12. So I'm going to trim it to 11 3/4, actually, or close to 11 3/4, just by trimming one side, a little strip off the edge, and then I do 1/4 turn and trim at 11 3/4. Now you notice I didn't say trim off a 1/4 inch, because I'm not trying to necessarily do that. I'm trying to make it a certain dimension. And sometimes it doesn't start. See, look at that. By trimming that off, it probably wasn't 12 by 12 to start with. And then we can test and see how we like it. And that looks really good as a quote-unquote panel. If we want a little bit more of an outer edge border than just that little lip, we could. I think that's fine the way it is. Okay, just with that little tiny frame. And then we will use this piece as needed. But in the same way, we're going to be working off the solid color piece, regardless of the project we're going to use today. I'm also using paper from the Echo Park. This is called Just Married, and it's the 6x6 paper pad. It's double-sided, and I am going to choose a few pieces. It won't matter if it's for the 12 by 12 layout or the card. Now it is Just Married, so I kind of want to be mindful that I don't have like the little Just Married, like the wedding cakes and stuff, but I sure do like that pattern, and definitely one that has a solid color on a side. And I have a plan in my head for this, but ooh, and definitely that one, that's great. And then this one, okay. Maybe we'll use that dark side for that. And that might be good. If we need more, we can get it. Okay. Ooh, but I sure do like that. Is that on the one side? Maybe we'll get this one too. Yeah, we'll get this one too, because I like that stripe. Okay. All right. And thankfully it's double-sided. Now you can do the same thing. You don't feel that even on this 12 by 12 layout that you need to choose 12 by 12 double-sided pattern paper, because it won't matter. We're actually just gonna use this paper to run through the embossing folder. And you may wonder about this, but you know, you're going to have, this is a perfect one to show. You're going to have the pattern then that comes out textured. One side will be embossed and the other side will be debossed. And then we'll use a series of inks, Oxide inks, to ink over that. And we are going to get a really, really, really nice look from that. So to start out the card, we're actually going to use the roll of double-sided Maymay tape as a template, like a stencil to trace. Now, this might seem like the long way around, especially if you have a circle die or a circle cutter or something like that that would cut. But I like to show projects sometimes that you can do even if you don't have any of these things at all. So this is my card panel, and I'm going to just literally put this over top like this. This is the roll of tape. Trace on the inside, leaving just a little bit of space. And I'm going to physically cut this out. Now, if I messed up, because I actually think that maybe that was a little bit too high, what I can actually do is just flip it over, because it doesn't really even matter at all, and get it just to kind of where I want it a little bit better. So don't fret if it doesn't come out there. That's a little bit better. See how I want it a little bit more at the top. I'm also trying to show that card making and scrapbooking, you don't always need to feel intimidated if when you're first starting out you don't have the latest and greatest. You know, a lot of the stuff you see on YouTube and Pinterest and a lot of these people, even those of us on the design team, we've been at it for a long time. So we have accumulated a lot of things over time. Now I'm going to just erase the lines. Okay. And that looks really nice. Now, I have pencil lines on this as well, and I can just erase those. That didn't take any time at all, and it's easy whether you have dies or not, or big and fancy supplies or not. Now, I will say that at this stage, what I'm going to do is grab some Distress ink and my, what is this? Oh, this is Oxide ink in frayed burlap. This would be a good time for me to ink around the outside edges. Now this is going to be optional, and certainly don't feel like you have to, but it's going to be really hard to do this in these little grooves and stuff later once I stick it down. So if this is a look I want, I better do it now. And this is just an ink blending tool, and all of these products I will link in the description box, and you can find them in maymaymadeit.com. And that's it. Now, that is our panel. Let's see here. I'll just stick that off to the side. Now for this, I've got this really neat little thing there, and I think that what I'm going to do is ink the outside edge of this and stick it down here. Just like that, like on the diagonal corner, just like that. Or maybe just like that. That might be a little bit better, okay? Let's see where the tape starts. Just a few pieces. Now I'm showing you this on the card, but it's exactly the same on the scrapbook page. Exactly. Okay. This. And let me just have that going. Whoops. That would look a little silly. There we go. Like that. And then just cut off the excess and throw that out. Cut off the excess. And there's my panel, just like this. Now, I'm just going to lay this here like this. I see I need to trim that a little better down there. And very lightly with my pencil, I'm going to trace right around here. And right here, when I take that off, I'm not going to stick it yet, but right here is where I'm going to stamp. So let me just go ahead and do that. And ooh, I forgot I still had the stamp on my platform. Okay. And I think what is the ink that I want to use here? Is that going to fit in that perfect spot? It sure is. I'm going to use Distress Oxide in Fossilized Amber to stamp the sentiment Happy Easter, and this is from the Risen stamp set from Maymay Made It, right there. And I'm using my stamping platform. If you have a different kind of stamping platform, feel free to use what you have. You could also use an acrylic block for stamping, which is fine. It's just a little bit harder to get repeat stamping on there if you're just using an acrylic block. Okay, and that is the sentiment. I love the font on that so much. I just think that's it's a really nice font, and we'll clean that off a little bit later. Now we can erase these pencil lines. That was just as a guide, so we knew where to position our stamp. You didn't see me position my stamp because I already had it ready to save time for the video. And now when we go to build on our card, we've already got that there. Isn't that nice? Now the same way, let me show you for the scrapbook page. In the same way, this is the exact same process, okay? Can you see this here? Let me put this so you can see what we're trying to do. In the same way, what you'll be doing then is, if you've been scrapbooking, you probably have circle dies or a circle cutter or something. But if not, and you're just starting, you trace around right here. Maybe use the outer one and hand cut that out, and you can put it down below here, inking the edges. It's the exact same way. But here's the cool thing, is that if you're doing a scrapbook layout, you might want to have an extra piece of solid color paper. And then what you can do is trace and use additional circles and make a few more of those circles throughout your background with one cut out, okay? And I'm going to actually do that. I'll do it off camera and then show you the finished product, but the same exact concept here, just bigger. So here's what it looks like once you've got the panel assembled with the extra circles. Now I did go ahead and use a circle, like a punch, like a little hand punch, to do a few more. And I love that tone on tone, just subtle texture, but then the one that we cut from here. Now, of course, this isn't adhered yet because I want to be able to work off this without this in my way. But if you are choosing to do a scrapbook layout, then here's what it will look like. Now, I do have to say that I was using extra paper from this panel, and I realized to make the extra circles, and I realized that it isn't quite exactly the same shade. It doesn't really matter, but doesn't it look good? Look how it is. So it's the same inked around the edges. I use that same size circle punch and right around the roll of Maymay tape, and just gave a nice look. Okay, easy. Stamped it right there, right on the page, and I didn't attach it so that we could work with this. So If you are a card maker or a scrapbooker, and you know, incidentally, if you are just a card maker and just don't ever do scrapbooking, this is the perfect project to give it a try, because it's really, really simple. I am going to work on the smaller one. Well, you know what? I really should maybe work on the larger one. It's probably easier for you guys to see. Either way, the next step applies to both. So we had our pattern paper and the embossing folder, and this has all these Easter eggs on it. Now the side that has the print of the embossing folder is the side that will, I guess they call it face up, really. So if you run it through this way, you can see that this is how it'll look. And you might be able to see where it kind of cracked a little bit in the paper. That doesn't make one bit of difference in this project. So don't fret if that happens. Okay, and you can see I ran each piece through, and but I do want to, I wondered why I was saving this, but now I remember. All right, so since we have double-sided, right, you may think, oh, you're just going to run it through this way, but you have to think which way you want. Like this has stripes, so you want to see which way do you want the stripes on the egg shape. Okay, and I know it's really hard to see here, but magically, let's see here. What if we did this in pink? If I just take the Distress Oxide in worn lipstick and just go lightly over the surface like that, then you can see the eggs appear on the stripes. Okay. And no, I am not using a blending tool for this because it's squishy. That blending tool has that squishy foam and it'll sink right down in. And this is a little bit of a firmer pad and it'll stay on top of those raised edges. Plus I can use the little corner to get in where I want and really get the edges. Okay, so now I've got a whole bunch of stuff going on right here. Very busy looking, huh? Now let me show you what it looks like on another one. This is broken china and one of the other pieces from the pack that we chose. Okay, now you could use the same, like a close color to that, like a pink, or more of a contrasting color. And I am not using very much pressure here. And I'm working a lot with the corner of the ink pad. Now, also, like I said, you could go in with the blending tool, but to be honest, I actually find that just directly using the ink pad gets me the look I want. So maybe that is a little bit more of the look you were, or maybe that is a little bit better for you. Again, because we use double-sided paper, and I did this already to save time, you've got a solid color side also that you can work with. And because these inks, the Oxide inks, they work really, really well on dark papers. So that's why I wanted to choose Oxide inks. Now, if this look is just not appealing to you at all, you don't like the pattern paper at all, you can always, this is from when I did it the first time, you could always go in with a solid color. This was just some paper from my stash that I used just to try it out. And this is, it's got a little metallic sheen, and you could do it this way if you wanted to, just some solid colors in your traditional pastel Easter basket type colors, and go ahead and do it that way. Now from here, what we're actually going to do is, and get comfortable, because this is some sit down and in front of the TV while a movie is playing or whatever, and just get into some fussy cutting. And we're going to cut out all of these individual eggs, and you'll have, oops, there, and then you'll have an egg, and then a choice, okay, of how you want it, because you've already inked the back and the front. To save time, I have done this already, and we have our, I just put it in like a little yogurt container or something, but now we have all of these eggs cut out. And look how, now see, maybe this doesn't look good to you, maybe that looks messy or dirty, but I actually like that sort of kind of a artsy fartsy look. And even though it was Just Married, you could tell that because I know it came from the Just Married stack, that it's a portion of the word married, but it doesn't, from far away and from here, it's not going to look like that. It's just going to look like text. Isn't that nice? So we've got lots of choice. And I also think, look, this one, I used some just regular black ink when I did this stage. So experiment with the look, try it out on maybe some scrap paper first, and experiment with the look of the ink. I think this looks awesome. It's a step away, for me, a step away from the traditional look and colors of Easter cards and projects. So I'll cut all these out, and then what we're going to do is work with assembling them onto our project that we started. Now we're going to work off of the panel. So I'm going to get this out of the way, this card base, and we won't even mess with it. We'll just deal with it later. This way we can just focus on this. And I've got the roll of Maymay tape here, okay? It's really sticky, so it's going to go perfect for this project, although I'm not going to use it at the moment. Instead, what I'm going to do is sort of lay out my design just however I want it. I'm going to lay the eggs so that it, I don't want it to look like a pyramid or a volcano or something, but instead I kind of want to give the look that it's like coming out, like somebody took this container full of eggs and was dumping it out, and so that they were getting dumped out that way. It's not gonna quite look like that yet. We're gonna have to look how nice this looks. We're gonna have to kind of work with it. And let me tell you what I love so much. I love that we have used the double-sided paper, and we can really, we just have so much variety and choice and size. And I know some people are probably not a huge fan of fussy cutting. Some people like it, but I myself am not a huge fan of fussy cutting. But it really makes the project look so unique. I think I'll stick one just like that there. Yeah, something like that. Okay, and when I'm kind of happy with it, then if I think I'm gonna forget, I can always take a picture with my phone and then come back to it. Look at that. And I'm also gonna hang some off of the edges, knowing that I'll be able to trim off. Let me do something like this, knowing that I'll be able to trim off the edges when I'm all finished. Okay, that's a good like first pile. It actually looks a little bit thick, so I might change my mind, but I could take a picture with my phone and then try to recreate that. Okay, once you adhere this down, these eggs down, that actually does look a little bit thick right there in the middle. That's maybe a little bit better. I can leave a hole because there, maybe like that, maybe like that. If I feel like I want to, I can leave a hole. But what I'm going to do is take, remember this piece of craft cardstock that we didn't use yet? Well, I'm going to trim, let's see, maybe like about, what is, if this is the inch, maybe like 3/4 of an inch long. Okay. Yeah, that's nice. And then maybe even a 1/2 inch. Let's try that, like a little bit short, a little bit smaller. Something like that. Okay, that's all I'm gonna need for now. And then if I need more, I'll get more. But once I stick this layer down, then I'm going to place a piece just like this right about here over top, and maybe a piece just like this over top of here. This is the idea, okay? And then I can put another egg here, another egg here, and sort of continue that like that. It gives the, and then I'll trim off, well, not here, but I'll trim off the edges, and then I can put a nice bow right there. All right. Let me show you on the finished one. This was the one I made first. See what I'm saying? What the look we're going for? And I did it in solid, again, this was just scrap paper, but it's not something you even really notice, but you do notice it. It sort of just helps ground it. And then I had put a bow here as an afterthought. So that's how I did it, and I think the pattern paper looks great. But again, if you're not a fan of the pattern look, that's sort of a messy, artsy-fartsy kind of look, you could always do it in solid colors. So I will assemble this, and then I'll show you how it looks on the scrapbook page as well. So I added all of the egg shapes and adhered them down, and I got this ready with some Maymay tape. And we're ready to just adhere this to the card base and almost call it a day. Let's see, I'll also show you what it looks like on a scrapbook layout. And like I said earlier, I know that some of you may not be scrapbookers. Or maybe I had a friend of mine once tell me, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time just to put one picture on there. And I fully understand that, because sometimes the things you see, the examples you see only have one picture or a few pictures. But this would be a great first try, because you could make, if you could make it in a card, you could make it on a scrapbook page. And there we have it. Yep, real nice. Now, if we wanted to, I had just some blingy things in my stash. And, you know, if this is your kind of thing, you could add just, you know, a few little blingy jewels, or, you know, if you have some Nouveau drops, or some other kind of, you know, like a glitter glue type drop, you could do that if you wanted. Now, I will say also, though, that if you're going to send something in the mail and you're putting something like this that's dimensional, you know, this is pretty flat, even though there's all these eggs. But if you're putting something dimensional like this on a card, it really is, you're going to have to anticipate sending it in the mail a little bit differently, extra postage or whatever. And go for odd numbers if you're going to do that as well. And that looks pretty good. Now, for me personally, I would probably add a ribbon or a bow or something. I would probably just do I have some rainbow bow. I don't know that I like that, but I have just a strip of ribbon, and I would just do a quick double bow, probably with my fingers, like this. And sometime I'll do a video on how to do a double bow like this. I think I actually got it from another YouTube tutorial, but it's real easy to do. And once you get it, you can just adhere it with some glue or something, or you know, you just pull it like that and slide it off your fingers. Straighten that good. Anyways, let's see which way we want to do this. No, like, is it like this? No, we want it like this. There we go. And then just put it right there with like a glue. Oh, maybe I'll turn it over. Just like that. Okay. I think I have one right here. Like just a glue dot or something. See? Easy peasy. Okay. Yeah, nice. And that's it. That's our card. I love the pattern paper so much. Seriously, I love the pattern paper so much. I can't stand it. Again, if it's too much for you, this was the first one I did just off camera. This was one that you could see the different look with just the traditional Easter colors and pastel. You could do it that way. Or I have it, this is how it looked on the scrapbook layout, how we were working on it before. Okay, look at the scrapbook layout. Let me get these out of the way so you can see it better. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Again, you could put a bow right there. This one maybe with the rainbow. Maybe not. Maybe I'd do a bow right here. But now for your photos, let's see. I think for this, these are the photos, but I think I would definitely do circle photos. Definitely. You know, something like that. And then maybe if I wanted to, I could take more of this craft paper and make another circle and maybe put another circle here. I could do maybe a smaller one coming off the page like this, and maybe do some journaling up there. And that would be great. You could fit a bunch of, or maybe journaling right in here. Maybe not, because that's sort of part of the background. But still, I think I said in my blog post, you know, you don't want to resist the temptation to cut your photos into ovals to match the eggs, because that would seriously be overkill, or I think I would call it oval kill. Yeah, I know, horrible. So just want to say thank you so much to MaymayMadeIt.com and Maymay Made It for providing the products today. And hope you enjoyed this video. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to Sandpaper Road on YouTube and also to Maymay Made It on YouTube. And don't forget to click on that bell to receive notifications. Visit sandpaperroad.com and MaymayMadeIt.com for close-up photos and DIY tutorials. And definitely all these products are available in the description box at MaymayMadeIt.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media. Check the description box for links below. And thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.